Everybody, I'm Marv Albert, and welcome to Sports Illustrated's Year in Sports.
Team tied at 2. Hatcher with it, shoots one, save, rebound, score! Amonte has broken the tie!
Let's go! Hey, Riley! Let's go! Let's go!
Swing and a miss, he struck him out. That's 20 on the night for Roger Clemens.
The year in sports kicked off on New Year's Day, 1996, with a surprising Northwestern team in their first bowl appearance in nearly half a century. An amazing accomplishment from a team that had stormed through the Big Ten.
I think Northwestern caught everyone by surprise. We had to say, whoa, wait a minute. This might actually be a team here, not a one-week phenomenon.
We accomplished our goal in a positive way, and we did it the right way. And that's through hard work and being a team and believing in each other.
When number 2 Ohio State fell to Michigan, the Cats found themselves bound for Pasadena, where USC placed the wake-up call that ended Northwestern's dream season.
And he fumbles as he goes down. It's picked up by the Trojans. And it's touchdown.
Just a day later, a rare showdown loomed between the two top-ranked teams with a national title on the line. The Florida Gators had closed out their season at number 2 to set up a dream match with a juggernaut from Nebraska.
Pulls right, throws the ball into the end zone for the touchdown.
Unfortunately for Nebraska, this past year was not so much how terrifically strong the program was, but more the morality play of should Lawrence Phillips be on the team or not. No one expected that someone who was accused of dragging a woman downstairs by the hair on her head was going to come back and put on pads and a helmet and play.
After finishing their second consecutive undefeated season, all that remained for the Cornhuskers was to defend their hard-won national title.
We know that we could be the first team in 17 years to repeat as national champions, and that's something I think this team is really striving for.
The Gators drew first blood in the Fiesta Bowl, but Nebraska responded in kind.
Phillips inside the 10.
After a rare mistake by Tommy Frazier, Florida went ahead 10-6. But in the second quarter, Nebraska wrestled the Gators into submission.
Lawrence Phillips breaking one. There they got him. There's the safety. When he gets to the outside. Frazier with blockers in front. That pass picked off. Picked off by Michael Booker. Free room ahead. Michael Booker in for the touchdown.
It turned out to be more reminiscent of the Super Bowl, really. You know, a lot of hype, two terrific teams, and then just the game blows up on you.
A 35-10 Cornhusker lead ended Florida's hopes for a national championship before the halftime show.
Oh, they don't have him yet. Look at Tommy Frazier. How many tackles can one man break?
The records kept falling under Nebraska's 62-24 rout of the Gators, and a second straight national championship belonged to Tom Osborne.
I think at the end of the Fiesta Bowl last year, Tom Osborne felt vindication and relief. He could just relax and enjoy any success that came his way and just be terrifically proud of what happened. I think Lawrence Phillips' situation and the way he handled it turned it into much more of a nightmare for him.
Far punch comes up over the middle.
Touchdown, Robert Buck.
And a standing ovation saluting Jerry Rice.
There was as much wanderlust as winning in last year's NFL season. Following the Rams and Raiders, the Oilers threatened to move, and the Browns took their act to Baltimore.
The biggest story in the 12 years since I've been covering the NFL is the move of the Cleveland Browns. Not only now do you not know where your favorite player is playing next year, but you don't know where your favorite team is going to be playing.
The Cowboys once again looked like the dominant team in football. And when it came time for Dallas to meet the 49ers, it felt like the usual preview of the NFC Championship game.
Dallas Cowboys, America's team, and the new champions, the 49ers, 5 Super Bowls. There's a lot of pride on the line when you go into the game.
Gerback to throw. Over the middle, and it's caught. Here's Rice. He's off and running.
Backup quarterback Elvis Gerback stole the spotlight and led the Niners to an early rout.
Ball is caught and fumbled. 49ers pick it up. Bringing it back is Hank. He's going to go.
Elvis did everything but swivel his hips on the way to a surprisingly easy 38-20 victory. Despite teams like the 10-1 Chiefs and a resurgent Pittsburgh, the AFC still seemed overmatched by their NFC cousins.
Every time the AFC had a huge game against an NFC team, it failed. When Buffalo went into San Francisco, it failed. When San Francisco went to Miami, the Dolphins failed. When the Raiders hosted Dallas, the Raiders failed.
One AFC team that saw more success than failure was Pittsburgh.
The team struggled the first 7 weeks and then did a tremendous turnaround after that and played well in the playoffs.
Well enough that even a last-gasp attempt by Colts quarterback Jim Harbaugh couldn't keep the Steelers out of Super Bowl 30.
Well, it seemed like it took forever. Jimmy dropped back, he threw the ball up, and first thing in my head was thinking, just knock the ball down.
The ball, it is caught. No, they say incomplete. No, they say incomplete. No, the Colts thought they had it. They thought they had it. It's over.
It was a very exciting ball game, one of the most exciting ball games I've ever been in. I don't want to play in one like that again.
Mark absent from the NFC Championship were the defending Super Bowl champions, the 49ers, upset by Green Bay. But back in the title game for the 4th time in a row was a hungry Dallas team. Emmitt Smith ran amok in the first half, carrying 22 times and setting up a 24-17 halftime lead. Back came league MVP Brett Favre, and the pack led by a field goal entering the 4th quarter. But Emmitt wasn't through yet.
Whenever you have a guy like Emmitt on the field for that period of time, he'll wear you down.
A tired Packer defense allowed Smith 2 more touchdowns, and Dallas was back in the Super Bowl for the 3rd time in 4 years.
Aikman to pass on 1st and goal from the 3. Wide open. Dane Novacek. Touchdown.
Super Bowl 30 shaped up early as the usual NFC rout, with the Cowboys scoring on their first 3 possessions.
We went out there, we wanted to be physical. When you're thinking about being physical all the time like a football team, you lose the mental aspect of the game. And I think we lost that early in the game. And we got to the side and say, hey, listen, you got to get your head into it.
With 13 seconds left in the half, Pittsburgh decided to make a game of it.
Slant pattern for the goal line. Touchdown, Steelers!
The Steelers continued their attack in the second half, and more than one Cowboy suffered on the sidelines, but not quarterback Larry Brown.
So Donald, big blitz, and he fires a pass, and it's pulled in and intercepted at the 40, the 50. He's at the 45, the 40. The Dallas defender dives over a blocker, and with the football down at the 23-yard line is Larry Brown with a big interception.
With 11 minutes to play, Pittsburgh turned the tables.
Surprise onside. Hey, let's do it. Surprise onside. Hey, Dick, I'm going onside here.
They have a coach, Bill Cowher, who's unafraid to take chances. As he said, our offense is going nowhere. We need a spark.
Kevin Williams and Brock Marion are the 2 deep, and the Steelers try an onside kick, and they got it! And a man running with the football at the 50, Deion Andrews! How about that? Oh, that's a great call. Let's go! Hey, Ryan, let's go!
The Steelers had done the unthinkable, instigated a rare competitive Super Bowl. But with 4 minutes left, Super Bowl MVP Larry Brown once again stepped between O'Donnell and any chance for glory.
He gets the snap. Here comes an outside blitz. The pass is picked off. An open field. Here comes Larry Brown to the 15. He's to the 10, and he's knocked out of bounds on the far side at the Steelers' 6-yard line.
I get a lot of flack. You know, everybody's mad because Neil threw me those passes. But, you know, I just saw it floating in the air, and I said, I got to go get it.
So for the 12th consecutive year, the AFC champions found the Super Bowl to be the most agonizing of destinations. But for the Cowboys, Super Bowl 30 was a place called redemption.
We learned the previous year, when you don't take care of your business, you don't make it. So we took care of our business.
This NCAA basketball season belonged to the masses and not just UMass or Kentucky. Dazzling spectators and opponents alike, a handful of standout underclassmen were cited for their reckless driving.
Here's Cameron Dollar. Nice pass by Dollar. That kind of teamwork.
This season was also about expectations. Specifically, could Kentucky and Rick Pitino finally live up to them?
The thing that has tripped up so many Kentucky teams, I think, is those expectations. They're always high at Kentucky. This year they were sky high. Pitino was able to take that pressure and rechannel it from within these guys instead of having it come down on them.
When Kentucky, the preseason #1, found themselves dominated by UMass, to the victor went the #1 ranking and dreams of an undefeated season.
From that first game on, we went on to win 26 straight, so there was always talk inside the locker room about running the table, but Coach Cal kept us down to earth. But he knew he really wanted it too. He really wanted us to go undefeated.
Anytime they need a big basket, they go right to the All-American.
But despite charging through the rest of the season, both UMass and Kentucky stumbled late. UMass lost its hopes of an undefeated campaign and the #1 spot when spoiler George Washington stunned the Minutemen. Kentucky inherited the top ranking, but suffered another surprising loss on the eve of the NCAA tournament.
Jones has 27, and the Bulldogs lead by 17. They have given Mississippi State its first ever SEC tournament championship.
Each year, March Madness reinvents itself through emotion and upset. Retiring coach Pete Carrill and his Princeton Tigers used both in their first-round matchup with the defending champion Bruins.
Under 10, back door. The Princeton Tigers have pulled the upset. They beat the defending national champions.
No way, President.
UMass and Kentucky marched to a showdown of the Final Four with frightening ease.
We talk about the dazzling dozen. You never know which guy it's going to be.
Meanwhile, Mississippi State proved its SEC tournament win over Kentucky was no fluke.
We had confidence in ourselves that we could make it in the Final Four. We worked probably harder than we did all year at the latter part of the season because we felt that we were getting closer and closer to reaching that goal.
Take it all the way, Wallace.
Mississippi State's glass slipper shattered against a Syracuse wall as the Orangemen controlled both ends of the floor and capitalized on the mistake-prone Bulldog.
They had played in zone defense all year, so we just stuck with that the whole game. It's kind of difficult to play against that zone sometimes if you haven't played against it a lot. I think that kind of caught us by surprise a little bit. That was one of the best defensive efforts against us the whole tournament.
Syracuse steals it.
Defense also told the tale of the UMass-Kentucky rematch, the rump in the swamp that commanded everyone's attention.
A lot of guys had in their mind that, hey, if we beat them once, we can beat them again. And that was game #2 for them. That was game 35. They were looking for revenge. and we were looking for respect.
We had gave them the first game we played. There was a lot of false confidence because that wasn't the Kentucky team that we were at in the season. And when we came there, I think we surprised a little bit with our press and wearing them down and doing a lot of different things.
UMass's top 5 players were as good as any in the game. The reason Kentucky won the title is they had 10 terrific players.
Kentucky was on the verge of its 6th title, but faced a dangerous team looking for respect.
A lot of publications didn't even have us in their top 30 or 40, and I think that was just an insult to us. And that was also an incentive, for us to work hard and to prove everyone wrong.
Despite the inspired play of John Wallace, Final Four most outstanding player Tony Delk drained 7 three-pointers, and Kentucky forced 24 turnovers, typical Wildcat pressure that delivered Kentucky their first national title in 18 years.
Kentucky is the king of college basketball.
'96 might best be remembered as the year we discovered life on Mars. Now, if only we could detect signs of life in the heavyweight division.
LaRosa. LaRosa sticks his tongue out. Tony is tough. There goes the mouthpiece. Throws one left hook and wait. One left hook and wait.
A lot of going downstairs. Might have been a little below the waistline. Kelly's watching upstairs. You can almost hear the laughter in the Tyson camp.
As go the heavyweights, so goes boxing. You have a situation where the heavyweights are kind of starved. There just isn't that much out there.
Perhaps sensing an opportunity among the dearth of heavyweight talent, Buster Douglas, the man who dethroned Mike Tyson, returned to the ring, rusty but game.
We'll see Buster Douglas now looking to put it away.
Tyson, meanwhile, proceeded to unify the remnants of his heavyweight crown in a series of predictably one-sided affairs. Tyson's fights have long been boxing's version of the Super Bowl, but the real irony came on the undercard of the Tyson and Bruno Snorefest, when the unlikeliest of fighters stole the spotlight from Iron Mike.
I think Chrissy Martin is a real fighter. I think she makes you pay attention.
The final indignity to the great tradition of the heavyweights came when former champion Riddick Bowe met an unknown Polish heavyweight named Andrew Golota. Golota scored early, often, and usually in unmentionable places.
Another low blow. This is a bad one. And Wayne Kelly is going to have to give Bowe a timeout. Golota rocks him again with the right hand.
The thing is going good for him.
He's just hammering Bowe in close. Just hammering it. That was another low blow. Down goes Bowe, and that's it.
That's it. Great.
It's a disqualification.
It's time to someone that understands that you're going to have to keep the rules in this business.
And now there's a fight in the ring that's been started by some of Bowe's handlers who went after Lou Duva, and somebody's going to get hurt in there.
So don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it, son. Don't do
There's
that.
danger all over the place here. George Foreman trying to be the peacemaker. What are you doing?
If there is life on Mars, could it be any stranger than the surreal world of boxing? The migration of Canada's national pastime began in 1988 when Wayne Gretzky left frozen Edmonton for sunny LA. Soon franchises started popping up in Tampa, in Miami, in Disneyland. Then the Nordiques left Quebec and the Jets flew from Winnipeg to Phoenix.
Canadian hockey is in trouble. I mean, the psyche has been damaged by the USA's victory in the World Cup, lost 2 franchises to the States, and the Stanley Cup going to a team that had been in Canada was a real blow to Canadian feelings.
But whether it was played north or south of the border, this past NHL season was one to remember. Mario Lemieux returned from a season-long hiatus to reclaim his place as the game's best player. The Devils became the first defending champion in over 25 years to miss the playoffs. And by the time the postseason rolled around, Detroit was primed to end 41 years of playoff misery after setting a record for wins.
Detroit will set a league record with their 61st victory of the season.
But those hopes were swept away by an avalanche. And no goalie could withstand the blizzard of goals by Colorado forward Joe Sakic.
Right from day one, things started to go in and just continued with the playoffs. They weren't pretty goals, but they always seemed to find the hole. And so it's perfect timing for that anyways.
And in the Western Conference Finals, Detroit was the last victim of the Colorado landslide.
Conference champion Colorado Avalanche go to the Stanley Cup Finals.
That's what playoffs are. I mean, it's not necessarily the team who does the best in the season, but it's the team who is the most ready when playoffs start.
But the postseason's biggest surprise was the Florida Panthers clawing their way past heavily favored opponents.
The Flyers season is over. The Panthers are moving on.
At some point, I think everybody in our room started to believe that this could be our year.
The conference final was a classic confrontation between an immovable object and 2 irresistible forces named Lemieux and Jagr.
Shoots and scores.
Let's treat Mario and Jagr with a little extra special attention, yes, but not too much. So we didn't shadow him, we didn't do anything. So that kind of helped me settle down a little bit.
Florida shut down Lemieux and Jagr, but Pittsburgh still took a 3-2 lead. But it rained rodents in Game 6, and the Panthers trapped the Penguins like rats to close out Game 7.
Florida took advantage of a poor Pittsburgh defense, very opportunistic goal scorers, kept finding ways to win, and never did they realize just how ordinary they were.
The victory set up an improbable Stanley Cup matchup, an upstart third-year team from Florida versus a first-year refugee from the Great White North.
We had a lot of respect for them for what they'd done, and we knew that they were going to work very hard, and it was a great chance for them to win the Stanley Cup as well as us.
Patrick Roy, Canada's most recent gift to the States, took the bite out of the Panthers' attack to stake Colorado to a 3-0 lead. But just then, the 2 teams turned it a game for the ages. The scoreless duel continued into triple overtime, but neither goalie would crack.
It wasn't how many shots, where it was going to come from, what kind of goal. If you give up one, it's over.
Oh, it was tiring, but both goaltenders were tremendous.
And it went on and on and on, and Juan and Van Beesbroek were just in their own world, making save after save after save.
Finally, at 4:31 of the third overtime, Huey Krupp found a chink in Van Beesbroek's armor.
Huey Krupp shot and score!
We walked out there with a lot of pride, and our head held very high, but they walked out with the Stanley Cup.
That's what you play for, you dream of as a kid, and just looking at for the first time, it's just an incredible feeling.
Today, Stanley. Tomorrow, the world. In a spectacular postscript to the NHL playoffs, the inaugural World Cup of Hockey pitted teammate against teammate in global confrontation.
Look at that move! You lead and goal!
What the World Cup told us is the United States plays Canadian hockey as well, and maybe even a little bit better than Canada. A Russian team didn't win it. A Swedish team didn't win it. It was a U.S. team playing the NHL way.
Wayne Gretzky centered in front of Russell! Oh, a remarkable save again by Richter! What a
Mike Richter in the second period of Game 3 of the World Cup final. We hadn't seen goaltending like that, perhaps ever.
Game tied at 2. Hatcher with it. Shoots one, baby, don't score! Come on, be a score!
These are stellar performances, the likes of which we might not see for quite a while.
From the one-on-one confrontation of tennis to the cruel and unusual fates of golf, the major Grand Slam events annually inspire performances of endurance, tenacity, and grace. Nowhere were these qualities more apparent than at the year's first major, the Australian Open, where former champions Monica Seles and Boris Becker each earned their first Grand Slam victories after recent years of adversity.
Didn't think I had a Grand Slam left in me, but thanks to my wife, and he gave me so much support and love over the last 5 years, I was able to do it.
But the tournament's most poignant memory will be of Monica Seles, who came all the way back from a bizarre attack 3 years ago.
Monica Seles, still undefeated at Flinders Park, her 4th Australian Open crown.
It's just great to be back. I can't believe still that I'm here, but it'll sink in.
Golf's first major, the Masters, was also its most unforgettable, as Greg Norman's dubious legend grew. As America watched, Norman painfully squandered a 6-shot lead on Sunday to lose by 5 to Nick Faldo. The green jacket would be Faldo's, but the applause belonged to Norman for his uncommon grace in defeat.
Things just didn't go my way, and Nick played a great round. He played very solid, very steady, and it was all my mistakes.
You'll be back, right?
I'll be back, yeah.
Even Wimbledon added to its luminous history in 1996. For the first time ever, 2 unseeded players made it to the men's final. Malavia Washington, the first African-American in the men's final since Arthur Ashe in 1975, bowed in straight sets to Richard Krajicek.
For the first time in a Grand Slam championship, we have a Dutchman as the champion.
Golf's last professional major is the PGA Championship, but the U.S. Amateur, contested 2 weeks later, commanded the sports world's attention as the game's brightest star competed. Tiger Woods won an unprecedented 3rd straight title and completed the greatest amateur career since Bobby Jones. But this year's most dramatic moment came as Pete Sampras defended his U.S. Open title. He took the final with a straight-set thrashing of Michael Chang. But it was his quarterfinal marathon win over Alex Corretja that everyone will remember. Fighting dehydration, Sampras literally gutted out a 5th-set tiebreak with a second service ace, propelling him to a Grand Slam victory, dedicated to the memory of Pete's beloved coach, Tim Gullickson. These inspiring performances elevated the majors of 1996, transcending the games themselves.
What time is it? Game time!
The NBA season began, as most seasons do, with unanswered questions. Would the Rockets three-peat? Could the Knicks win a championship? And what would the fashionable bride be wearing?
I thought that every team that was a contender had certain questions it had to answer. And then there was Chicago, which was a good team, a contender, but certainly had its questions.
And as 1996 shaped up as the year of the Bull, the rest of the league found themselves cast in the role of Matador. Michael Jordan was back for his first full season since Chicago had won its 3 consecutive championships, and it was up to him to lead the running of the Bulls. But the final piece to the Bulls' puzzle was a puzzle in his own right.
So they went out and they got Rodman, who everyone knows can get you 20 rebounds a game, but can also give you a lot of headaches in the process.
Dennis gave me the,
confidence in that, that he would play whatever team defense we asked.
Defense was the name of the game around the league, and many teams learned that denial wasn't just a river in Egypt.
When you play defense, that's where you're going to win a championship. If you can stop another team from scoring and get easy opportunities to score, you'll beat a lot of people.
But the rules didn't seem to apply to those raging Bulls.
We built up so much momentum during the season that we felt like we couldn't lose.
The Chicago Bulls are the first team in NBA history to win 70 games in a single season.
It means that, out of 82 in a season, that a team has come to play every single night. I don't think there was a game that was a giveaway game.
In some weird parallel world, the expansion Vancouver Grizzlies were sinking to a record low, finally winning a game after 23 losses in a row.
For the win, Vancouver wins the game.
When the postseason tipped off, the Knicks hoped to tame the Bulls. But those hopes were short-lived.
Jordan just looked over at Spike Lee and waved bye-bye.
Next up, the Orlando Magic once again swept from the playoffs. The Seattle Supersonics put their personal demons to rest when they beat the Sacramento Kings, advancing past the first round for the first time in 3 years.
I think the monkey got off our back when we won Game 3. When we won in Sacramento, we understood that we can win on the road now.
And after defeating the defending champion Rockets, Seattle went on to beat the Jazz at their own game.
I think it was really a matchup of two stars in Seattle, Kemp and Payton, against two stars in Utah, Stockton and Karl Malone. And I think Kemp and Payton just won the battle.
Russell gets off the three, won't go. Game is over. The Sonics are on their way to Chicago. Here they come.
The Sonics finally, in the championship series, had their newfound confidence shaken by the winningest team in NBA history.
We went into the game afraid, I think, really. That's how we went into it. That's why we got down 3-0. I didn't think our team went in there knowing that we can beat this team.
And Defensive Player of the Year Payton was given the unenviable job of guarding the unstoppable Jordan.
We all play basketball. Once we start running up and down that floor, it's the same. I got to go at him like he's going to go at me.
After 3 games, it looked like time to pop open the champagne.
Of course we were thinking sweet. Too many cigars packed in the bottom of people's bags and too many parties planned, I think.
But in Game 4, Payton, Kemp, and injured Sonics guard Nate McMillan decided to spoil the party.
I told them before the game, I said, I want you to just go play crazy. I just want you to throw the ball away, play fast, get back to being the team that I know you are.
It just showed what a good team Seattle was when they came back and hammered us in Game 4 and then beat us pretty well again in Game 5.
The Sonics would have little time to savor their success because Jordan simply refused to lose in front of the hometown fans.
Michael and Scotty, the 4th time they've done it. It is over. The Bulls are champions of the world.
We missed out on 2 championship runs for 2 years consecutively, and to get back to it, into the championship, was to savor it even more.
What's nice is to know that 10, 15 years from now, people are going to look back at our team and consider us one of the greatest ever, and that's a pretty neat thing to be a part of.
I'm not sure that there is such a thing as the best team ever, but greatest season in history, yeah, I think that belongs to the Bulls.
The Centennial Games of Atlanta left behind 1,000 pictures worth 1,000,000 words. Frozen moments of glory or despair. Images of unbridled joy and quiet courage.
She lands on one foot. She hurt herself. That should give the U.S. the gold medal.
America's greatest Olympian, Carl Lewis, came not merely to prove himself against the best in the world, but to measure himself against 100 years of Olympic history.
I still had the ability to kind of intimidate people. I mean, when I picked that big jump out there, everyone just kind of froze.
It wasn't a surprise to Carl, but I think it was an astounding surprise to all of us.
You talk about money players or moneyed players, and that's Carl Lewis. I mean, he might be the greatest clutch athlete of all time.
The James Brown of the Olympics, you have to throw a cape over him and drag him off the stage.
Lewis has given everybody else something to remember tonight. Johnson has the lead. Fredericks can't see the gate on him. Michael Johnson soars to a new Olympic and world best.
For me, the objective was making history, and that was the tough thing to do.
I thought I knew what speed was. I thought I had seen fast athletes, but this was something completely above and beyond that.
I just saw a guy turning on like turbo boosters, and it blew me away watching it. One of the single most explosive moments in sports of the last couple decades.
And the U.S. women, one of the great stories of the 26th Olympiad.
Women repeatedly took center stage in an Olympics that featured more female athletes than ever before.
We had a lot of heart, we had a lot of character. I mean, every positive word you could possibly think of, we have done it, we've been through it.
Thank God for the women. When you think about it, the women, particularly the U.S. women, have a lot to do with the real lasting impressions of this Olympics.
We've always seen individual performances in the Olympics, but we haven't seen women teams given the opportunity, really. And once they got the opportunity, they really made the most of it.
A madman's bomb replaced images of triumph with pictures of terror. The competition would continue, but the games remain changed, perhaps forever.
I don't think we'll ever have kind of that pure, innocent celebration that we used to have in the Olympics.
We all know that if somebody wants to plant a pipe bomb in Sydney in 2000, they are going to be able to do it. And that's a sad reality.
As the games resumed, so too did images of struggle. And perhaps no image was more courageous than a final painful leap that was only partially about mining the most precious of metals.
This bronze medal means so much to me because it was a fight. It was a fight to the end.
What Jackie Joyner proved in getting a bronze medal, to me, was as remarkable achievement as what anyone else did in winning a gold there.
It depends on how you look at a bronze medal. If you hold it up in the right light, it looks like gold. And this is what Jackie Joyner-Kersee did. She took the right perspective.
Some images were sublime, and some perhaps bordered the ridiculous. But if there is a single enduring image of the games, it had little to do with athletic competition.
That moment when the torch was handed to Ali. The moment when you saw Ali and realized that that's who it was.
We saw that it was Muhammad Ali, and there was a gasp that went through the stadium. Everyone was like, ah.
It was a gasp that at that very moment of surprise, but also of instant realization that that was the perfect person to be lighting that torch.
It was truly the moving moment of the games. And it's a tough Olympics when your best moment's your first.
These were the first games of the second Olympic century, and they did not disappoint. Can't wait for baseball season? Neither could baseball. For the first time ever, the season started in March. Well, for some, in the first week alone, 7 games were postponed due to bad weather. But then, things heated up.
Hot shot, backhanded deep and short, A-Rod. Long throw. Holy smoke, what a play.
3 different players tied a major league record by launching 11 home runs in April. And on a single day, teams produced a record 195 runs, an average of nearly 14 runs a game.
Pitching is standing out some with expansion.
The strike zone does seem to be getting smaller.
And also maybe a little bit of juice in the ball.
As team ERAs soar to new heights, baseball managed to deliver 3 of the unlikeliest no-hitters of any season.
Al Leiter with the no-hitter, I think he stamped himself as the player everybody had been waiting for. Hideo Nomo, maybe the most difficult no-hitter of all, going into Coors Field. We all know how the ball flies out of there. Doc Gooden, as great as he was with the Mets, never had thrown a no-hitter before, and here he is doing it across town with the Yankees.
Makes the catch! A no-hitter for Dwight Gooden!
The Yankees, with an ever-changing roster, watched a 12-game lead dwindle to 2.5. Somehow, manager Joe Torre held it all together.
I think when you've played this game, been around this game long enough, you realize that you really can't bemoan the fact that you have problems. We were interested in one statistic, and that was winning.
And now he just pounds one to left field. That is in the 5th deck.
As the regular season drew to a close, the record-setting pace continued. It was no surprise, then, that the Pyrotechnics continued into the playoffs.
In the air to right, back goes O'Neill, takes a look up, it's gone.
After setting a regular season record for team home runs, Baltimore parlayed a wild card draw into a trip to the League Championship Series. But everything seemed to go just right for the Yankees.
Now the ball bounces away. Williams sprints for the plate and scores.
The way we had to do it blue-collar way. Bite and scratch and try to score a run here and there and hope that the pitching is good enough to hold up.
And the Yankees win the pennant.
While the Yankees were heading to their first World Series in 15 years, the Braves, the team of the 90s, were struggling against St. Louis.
We took the 3-1 lead over Atlanta, and we knew that they had the type of team that could score a lot of runs, but we were kind of hoping they'd stay asleep through the whole series, and they woke up just at the right time.
Hit a ton to left. 13-0 Atlanta.
Our offense really caught fire and carried us through, and at the same time, the pitching didn't give up anything. It was pretty stingy.
The Braves outscored the Cards 32-1 in the final 3 games of the NLCS, compiling a record 77 hits for the series.
Here comes Atlanta, New York.
In an apocalyptic performance, the Yankees dropped the first 2 games at home by a combined score of 16-1, an assault that featured everything but napalm.
My only concern was that I wanted to make sure if we were going to lose this World Series, that we had to really show, who we were and what we were all about, and we hadn't shown that in the first 2 games.
But when the battle headed south, invading Yankees once again set fire to Atlanta. David Cone delivered a gutsy Game 3 performance. An unprecedented Yankee comeback won Game 4.
Track at the wall, we are tied. 3-2 pitch. The Yankees take the lead.
In a nail-biting Game 5 duel between the premier pitchers of each league, a lone unearned run made the difference.
That's well hit into right center field. Grissom back to get it. Drops it.
We never lost in Baltimore, and we never lost in Texas, and now we never lost in Atlanta. It's just phenomenal, and there's no way to explain that. There's no way to explain what we did on the road against those teams.
Back in New York for Game 6, Greg Maddux faltered only briefly, but it looked like that might be enough.
Into center field. That will put the Yankees on top. It's over the head of Grissom. O'Neill
It's an RBI triple, and the Yankees lead by 1.
All of a sudden, it's 3-0 against the 4-time Cy Young winner. And with that bullpen rested on the Yankees, you knew the Braves were in trouble.
Stopper John Wetteland once again took the mound to close out the series, but not without the requisite drama that's become his hallmark.
The tying run was at third base. I said to Zimmer, I said, well, we've done this all year. Why should today be any different? You know, why should we win it in 1-2-3 fashion in the 9th inning?
Another chance to the left side. Hayes waits. The Yankees are champions of baseball.
To be back home and have your family around you and all your friends, and this was well worth waiting for and much better than I was led to believe it would feel like.
For me to be concerned about my heart, I decided that it was best for me and for the organization for me to step down as the manager of the Dodgers.
I'll be here, but I just won't be putting this on anymore. It's the last time you see Kirby Puckett in a Minnesota Twins uniform.
My right hip injury is permanent. Permanent disability, which would prevent me from ever returning to professional hockey.
When you have to say goodbye to players like Kirby Puckett, or a manager like Tommy Lasorda, or a player like Cam Neely, sports in general loses something. I think what it's really felt is in their cities.
Pretty much their entire career is associated with Los Angeles, Minnesota, and Boston. Kirby Puckett, you know, that was devastating to the Twins. That guy is literally the most popular Minnesotan in the state's history.
Into deep left center, and we'll see you tomorrow.
He had been such a great ambassador for the game. He was always smiling. He was kind of the Magic Johnson of baseball.
One of baseball's great treasures, I think. You hate to see it end for Kirby that way.
Neely able to breeze on by. Neely in front, score!
Cam Neely was the most popular hockey player in Boston, probably since Bobby Orr, and one of the all-time athletes in Boston because he embodied Boston's vision of itself. A rough and ready, two-fisted kind of city. Cam Neely was the heart and soul of the Bruins.
He was a person of great, unbelievable finesse, but the type of guy that would go out and lick somebody. Cam Neely was a guy that did it both. I mean, even his name said it all, a great player.
I think there are a lot of parallels between his career and Bobby Orr's, in that he was this really bright star who kind of flashed quickly and had his career end too soon.
What would you do in this situation if you were managing this ball club, John?
You took this club in first, man.
I got a big decision to make, and I just don't know what to do. I thought maybe possibly could help me. John, I got a decision to make, and I just don't know. I thought maybe whatever you think will be best, John, I'll go along with it because I know you're very knowledgeable. I know.
Tommy Lasorda is baseball. I mean, he's profane. He's certainly egotistical. He's full of bluster.
Tommy Lasorda is one of those people who you thought was just going to go on forever.
Lasorda in Los Angeles, you know, my God, you know, the Dodgers have had two managers in the last 45 years. And, you know, he leaves a gaping hole there.
But I have the feeling Tommy Lasorda, I can't help this, has not really gone away. I know that we've seen the end of Kirby Puckett, but I just don't know whether we've seen the end of Tommy Lasorda.
That's way to hustle, Penguin. Nice job.
We're going to beat this thing, and one of these days we'll be back out there tipping our hats, and hopefully everything will be all right.
4 months ago, when Brett heard the news that it was indeed a malignant tumor, it shook up all of us.
Brett Butler, not only sudden, but life-threatening, and that's, you know, the most poignant one of all of them. When Butler made his comeback, it was just great to see, you know, that he recovered. Forget about the baseball.
Here comes Butler to score. Can you believe it?
If he leaves baseball, it will be a little bit different from Cam Neely or Tommy Lasorda or Kirby Puckett, in that it's not a tragedy that these other players are leaving their sports, because you know, life does go on, and that's the great thing about sports. It's not life or death, it's just sports.
The championships change hands. The players change teams. The teams can even change cities. But year after year, we can count on sports for breathtaking moments that continue to resonate long after the cheering has faded.
To right center field. Myers and Nunley chase it. Myers, the ball drops. Molitor has his 3,000th hit, and he's chugging for third. And he's in with a triple. Paul Molitor becomes the 21st member of baseball's 3,000 hit club.
Fox inside low left, Eric Williams. Chuck can steal. There it is. Chuck can stole the ball. Chuck can stole the ball. He's the all-time leader in the history of the game. 2,311.
Inside and another left hook outside from De La Hoya. And a combination scored by De La Hoya. And another combination punishing Chavez. Blood pouring from the nose and the eye, and Joe Cortez calls her home. He'll have the doctor look at this cut. That's it. Say something else. And it's all over. A dominant performance by Oscar De La Hoya over the legendary Chavez.
Once again, Laura Davies of the McDonald's LPGA Championship.